All right, quick question to kick things off. Which bank gives you the better deal? Imagine you deposit $20 into the Giant Bank, and you get an interest of $2 in 2 years. But if you deposit $30 into the Titan Bank, you get an interest of $3 in 3 years. So what do you think? Which bank is actually giving you the better deal? Have your answer? Good. Hold on to it for just a second.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are unlocking the brilliant, eccentric, and wonderfully tricky mind of a legendary puzzle inventor. We're going to stretch our brains, test our logic, and explore a world where the obvious answer is, well, almost always a trap.
Okay, let's jump right back in and resolve that opening brain teaser. The better deal is actually the Giant Bank. Why? Well, at both banks, you're earning exactly a 10% return on your initial investment. The difference is just the time it takes. Giant Bank gives you that 10% in just 2 years, while Titan Bank makes you wait 3 whole years. It's a classic example of how throwing in extra numbers can completely cloud a very simple mathematical truth.
Section 1. Meet the Puzzle Master. That slick little trick you just fell for was conceived by Nobuyuki Yoshigahara, who is universally known in the recreational mathematics community simply as Nob. Born in Japan in 1936, Nob became an absolute legend. I mean, he was literally a household name among those of us who love to torture ourselves with logic grids, matchstick geometry, and mechanical brain teasers.
His son, Takayuki, actually painted a really vivid picture of the kind of man Nob was. He wrote so fondly of sitting at his father's knees while Nob crafted puzzles in his little home workshop. Takayuki noted, "My father was thinking of puzzles every day. He always carried a notepad to jot down inspirations of the moment. My father was intoxicated with both puzzles and alcohol. He was just a man completely consumed by his craft, viewing the whole world through this unique lens of riddles and mechanics."
He also had this incredible, almost dark sense of humor. At age 56, Nob survived a truly grueling battle with stomach cancer. When a friend later asked him at a conference how he managed to recover so miraculously well and look so lively, Nob just smiled and said, "Andy, I fired my doctor and went back to drinking again." Over his lifetime, Nob published more than 80 puzzle books in Japanese, but today we are pulling from a very special posthumous English collection published by Springer titled The Puzzles of Nobuyuki Yoshigahara. It's basically a curated vault of his unreleased and absolute favorite challenges. So let's get into our first real challenge and see how well we can build those logical muscles.
Section 2. The Deceptive Math. You see, Noib loved creating puzzles that specifically hijack your intuitive brain. You know, that part of you that just wants to recognize a pattern and blurt out an answer without actually doing the underlying logic.
So here is the Puzzle Master's challenge for you. Listen closely. If it takes 4 cats to catch 4 mice in 4 minutes, how long would it take 48 cats to catch 48 mice? I highly encourage you to pause the explainer right here if you want to try and figure it out for yourself.
Think you've got it figured out? I bet your brain is practically screaming 48 minutes right now, because we just love symmetry. 4, 4, 4. So it's got to be 48, 48, 48, right?
No way. The answer is actually still exactly 4 minutes.
Let's break that down, because it's all about the rate of work. In those initial 4 minutes, 4 separate cats are each catching 1 mouse simultaneously. Therefore, the baseline rate is that it takes 1 individual cat exactly 4 minutes to catch 1 individual mouse. If you scale that whole operation up to 48 cats, they are all working at the exact same time. 48 cats working concurrently for 4 minutes will catch 48 mice. It's simple, elegant, and perfectly designed to make you second-guess your own intuition.
Section 3. The Logic of Liars. Let's step away from the math for a second and dive into something a bit more paradoxical. This highlights Nob's absolute mastery of self-referential puzzles that really force you to rely on the process of elimination. Picture a group of 6 friends. We've got Alice, Brian, Colin, Deborah, Edwin, and Fiona. And they each make one single statement. Alice says, "Only one of us is lying." Brian chimes in, "Exactly 2 of us are lying." Colin follows up with, "Exactly 3 of us are lying." Deborah ups the ante, "Exactly 4 of us are lying." Edwin counters, "Exactly 5 of us are lying." And finally, Fiona declares, "All of us are lying."
So, here's the million-dollar question. Who is actually lying? Take a second to pause the audio right here and try to map it out. Really look at how their statements interact with each other. Ready for this? It turns out Edwin is the only one telling the truth. The other 5 are, in fact, lying.
What's absolutely brilliant here is the inescapable logic. Look at those statements again. They completely contradict one another. Because of that, it's literally impossible for more than one person to be telling the truth. That immediately tells us that at least 5 of them must be lying. But could all 6 be lying? Well, think about it. If all 6 are lying, then Fiona's statement, all of us are lying, would actually be true. That creates a massive paradox. So it can't be all 6. It must be exactly 5 people lying. And who predicted that? Edwin did. Edwin is our lone truth teller.
Section 4. The duty roster deduction. You are doing great, by the way. Let's level up to our final guided puzzle. Now this one requires you to juggle multiple variables at once.
Here is the setup. We have exactly 5 part-time workers at a warehouse. They all have a first name and a last name. But Nob gives us this wonderfully strange rule. A worker's last name is used on the schedule only when he is put in charge of the warehouse for the day. Otherwise, his first name is used. And then, Nob hits us with this incredibly messy 6-day schedule. On Monday, Mr. Westwork works. Tuesday is Mr. Northcott and Dick. Wednesday is Mr. Eastwood, Bill, and Fred. Thursday is Mr. Upton, Harry, and Dick. Friday is a busy one. Mr. Eastwood, Mr. Southcott, Harry, and Dick. Saturday is Mr. Upton and Bill. The challenge here is, what are the full names of all 5 workers? Again, if you're feeling brave, freeze the screen right now, grab a piece of scratch paper, and give it a shot.
So how in the world do we solve a tangled mess like this? Well, you build a matrix. You list the last names on the left, the first names across the top, and you just start cross-referencing. The trick is, if a first name and a last name appear on the exact same day, they cannot be the same person. For example, let's look at Mr. Eastwood. On Wednesday and Friday, he works alongside Bill, Fred, Harry, and Dick. Since he is actively working with them, he obviously can't be them. So by pure process of elimination, Mr. Eastwood has to be our mysteriously unnamed 5th worker, Tom. By applying this matrix logic day by day, the rest of the names just easily fall right into place. Building out the logic visually is honestly the ultimate key to solving Nob's more complex webs.
Section 5. A lasting legacy. Sadly, Nobuyuki passed away back in 2004, leaving behind just an incredible void in the puzzle world. But his influence remains absolutely staggering today.
His work was literally so vital to the community that he was honored with the Sam Lloyd Award, which is given to individuals who make significant contributions to the world of mechanical puzzles. In fact, after his passing, the prestigious International Puzzle Party officially renamed their annual design competition the Nobuyuki Yoshigahara Puzzle Design Competition. His name is permanently etched into the very fabric of recreational mathematics.
Before we wrap up this explainer, it just wouldn't feel right to leave you without one final, unguided challenge directly from the mind of Nob himself. I am definitely not going to give you the answer to this one. I want you to untangle this linguistic nightmare entirely on your own.
All right, are you ready? You might want to take a deep breath for this one. Here we go. If the problem you solved before you solved the problem you solved after you solved the problem you solved before you solved this problem is more difficult than the problem you solved after you solved the problem you solved before you solved this problem, then is the problem you solved before you solved this problem more difficult than this problem? Yeah, just let that simmer in your brain for a minute. Try mapping it out. Substitute those convoluted phrases with problem A and problem B and see what you get. Drop your answer and the logic of exactly how you got there down in the comments. Good luck and keep puzzling.